You have been watched, not in the alarming sense of that word, in the specific, intensely personal, entirely private sense of someone who has been paying a particular quality of attention to you from a particular distance and who has been doing so without your full awareness of the watching. Who has been in your peripheral world or in the digital periphery of your world or simply in the interior of their own experience of you with a level of attentiveness that has exceeded what the official register of whatever connection exists between you would suggest. Carefully, continuously, with a quality of interest that has not diminished with time, and who is about to stop watching from a distance. I want to begin with the secret quality of the observation, because secretly is the word the title uses, and it carries specific information about what has been happening that deserves its examination. The secrecy is not sinister, it is protective. The specific, deliberate quality of someone who has not allowed the watching to become visible, because making it visible would require acknowledging something they were not yet ready to officially acknowledge, would transform a private experience into a social one, would create an expectation of response and engagement that the watching, as long as it remained private, did not create. The watching has been the safe version. Safe in the sense that it could be maintained without risk, without the specific vulnerability of letting another person know that they are being noticed in a particular way, without the exposure of what the noticing reveals about the interior of the person doing it. Safe. The watching has been the safe version. Safe in the sense that it could be maintained without risk, without the specific vulnerability of letting another person know that they are being noticed in a particular way, without the exposure of what the noticing reveals about the interior of the person doing it. Safe and comfortable in the way that safe things are comfortable until they are not, until the comfort of the safe version begins to be outweighed by the specific cost of what the safe version prevents, which is the expression of everything the observation has been building. The specific accumulated, this is more than I can simply observe indefinitely weight of what has been growing on the observation side, finding its natural direction, which is toward you. And now the safe version is becoming insufficient. Let me describe the quality of the observation, because observation is a neutral word, and the quality of this particular one is not neutral. It is devoted. The specific, sustained returns to the same subject quality of someone who keeps coming back, who has made a habit, possibly without having consciously decided to make it a habit, of checking in with some version of your presence. Whether that is a social platform where pieces of your life are visible, whether it is the orbit of shared social circumstances in which you appear occasionally, whether it is simply the interior habit of thinking about you, returning to thoughts of you, using thoughts of you as a kind of touchstone. The form varies, the quality is the same, devoted, and devotion of this kind, sustained across whatever the period of the observation has been, is not something that simply lives in place. It builds, it develops. It becomes, through the accumulation of its own continued presence, something that has a weight and a direction and an increasing pressure toward the specific outward, no longer secret form of expression that has been the thing the observation was the safe version of The observation has been building toward the reach out. The observation has been building toward the reach out. I want to describe one more specific quality of the devoted observation that I think is worth naming. The observation has been producing intimacy on one side, not reciprocal intimacy. The specific, one directional, entirely interior intimacy of someone who has been becoming increasingly familiar with you over time from a position outside of official relationship, who has, through the sustained, devoted quality of their attention, built a degree of familiarity that is not matched by any formal connection between you. This produces a specific, slightly unusual dynamic. When they reach out, they will be approaching you with a level of familiarity that you do not yet share, with a picture of you that is more complete than the picture you have of them, with a quality of having been here a while that you will not have had the context for. This is not something to be unsettled by. It is simply the nature of the observation having been one directional, and it means that the first contact will have a particular quality, the specific, slightly asymmetric quality of someone who feels they know you approaching someone who is only beginning to know them. And in that asymmetry, a particular kind of vulnerability, because the person approaching is more exposed in the moment of the approach than the person being approached. They are arriving with more skin in the game. Be gentle with that. It is the evidence of what the observation produced. I want to speak to the obsessing piece specifically, because obsessing is the word the title uses, and it is a stronger word than observing, and it deserves its distinction. Obsessing is not simply thinking about someone. Thinking about someone is voluntary, is the specific chosen quality of someone who decides to bring a particular person into their awareness and who produces thoughts about them as a deliberate, controlled activity. Thinking about someone can be started and stopped, can be allocated a particular amount of time and space, and then set aside when the time and space are needed for other things. Obsessing is not voluntary. It is the specific quality of thoughts that arrive without being invited, that interrupt, that surface in the middle of other things and require a moment's attention before other things can resume, that have a quality of insistence of returning regardless of whether the person experiencing them has redirected their attention, of simply being there, present, with the particular quality of something that cannot be managed away through any ordinary cognitive mechanism. This person has been experiencing you in that involuntary way. You have been arriving in their awareness without being summoned, not occasionally, with a regularity that has been notable to them, that has been producing the specific quality of something that is clearly larger than ordinary interest or ordinary attraction or any of the manageable forms of caring about another person that do not rise to the level of obsessing. What they are experiencing has risen to that level. What they are experiencing has risen to that level. I want to describe what that level actually feels like from the inside of the person experiencing it, because naming it specifically will help you understand the quality of what is about to reach you. It feels like a preoccupation that has a specific address, not the general diffuse quality of someone who is simply thinking a lot about a lot of things. The specific, pointed, this particular person quality of a preoccupation that keeps returning to the same subject, where the thoughts about you are not one thread among many, but a thread that keeps surfacing above the others, that has a quality of priority. It did not assign itself. It feels like involuntary comparison, the specific quality of having a reference point that other things keep being unconsciously measured against, where conversations with other people produce a faint, barely articulable awareness of what is missing from those conversations that your presence would provide, where experiences that should be fully self-sufficient carry a slight sense of wanting to share them with a specific person. And it feels like a recurring question, the one that keeps being asked and deferred rather than asked and answered. The specific, ongoing, returns without resolution quality of someone who keeps coming back to the same question because they have not yet done anything that would allow the question to be answered. The question is whether to reach out, and the answering of it is imminent. I want to speak to what the reaching out represents for them, because reaching out in this context is not a casual decision. It is from the perspective of the person making it a significant threshold. They have been on the threshold side of this for a while, close enough to the action to feel it as possible, far enough from it that the specific accumulated reasons not to cross it, the protection of the secrecy, the uncertainty of the reception, the specific vulnerability of letting the watching become known, have been functioning as an effective barrier. What has changed is the ratio between the reasons not to cross the threshold and the force of what is building on the other side of the not crossing. The specific daily, this has to find its expression quality of what has accumulated on the observation side has grown to a point where it has finally exceeded the barrier. Not dramatically, in the gradual, inevitable way that water eventually breaches any container it fills past capacity. The container is full. The reaching out is the overflow. Let me speak to what the reaching out will look like, because knowing something about its form will help you recognize it when it arrives. It will not come with the full announcement of everything, not in the first message or the first contact. What has been building will not arrive all at once, declared and complete in the opening move. The opening move will have a quality of establishing contact, of creating the connection that makes everything else possible, of testing the door before walking through it, a message that could be about something ordinary, but that is actually about something else entirely. A comment or a like or a small gesture of acknowledgement that is technically casual, but that carries in the specific quality of its timing and its selection a density that casual things do not usually carry. Or for some of you, something more direct. A message that begins with a premise but arrives a few exchanges in at what it was actually about all along. In all cases, the underlying quality is the same. Someone who has been on the outside looking in, announcing in whatever form they can manage that they have been looking, and that looking has become something they no longer want to do from the outside. Tell me in the comments if you have a sense of who this is. Not specifically, just whether someone has been in the periphery of your awareness in a way that suggests a quality of attention that exceeds what the official nature of whatever connection exists would produce. Whether you have noticed something, whether the title of this reading landed on a specific face or a specific name, I want to know if this reading is finding its address. I want to speak to something about the observation itself, that I think is the most important piece of information in this reading for your own self-understanding. You have been producing this without knowing you were producing it. The quality that the observing person has been responding to, the thing that has been generating the devoted, involuntary, has risen to the level of obsessing quality of their attention toward you, is not something you have been performing for their benefit, is not something you have been doing deliberately, is not the result of any strategic management of how you appear to people in your peripheral world. It is simply what you are when you are being what you are. And what you are when you are being what you are is the kind of thing that gets watched. Not because you are putting on a show, because there is a specific, observable, unmistakable quality in how you move through the world that has a magnetic charge to it, that draws and holds attention without demanding it. That produces in certain people, the ones with sufficient sensitivity to register what is actually there rather than only what is being presented, the specific, helpless, involuntary quality of I cannot stop paying attention to this. You are the kind of person who gets observed not from any effort, from the quality of your actual, genuine, unselfconscious presence in the world. I want to speak to what you do when the reaching out arrives, because this reading is not simply describing something that is happening from a distance. It is preparing you for something that is about to enter your immediate world. Receive it with curiosity. That is the instruction and the quality I want to give it, not with the specific, slightly guarded quality of someone who has been caught off guard and who is managing a response from a defensive position, not with the specific, pleased but performing quality of someone who was expecting this and is now receiving it in the way they plan to receive it, with genuine, open curiosity about who this person is in the form they are now presenting themselves in, about what the reach out contains, about what it is like to be someone who has been observed from the outside and who is now being approached by the observer. Because the specific, unusual, slightly intimate quality of being reached toward by someone who has been paying close attention to you from a distance is one of the more interesting things that happens between people. And it deserves the full quality of your genuine engagement rather than the managed version. Be genuinely curious. I want to speak to something about what this person carries that has been building through the observation. They know you, not the way people know you who have been in frequent, reciprocal, officially acknowledged connection with you. The different way. The way of someone who has been paying the specific, sustained, nothing escapes me quality of attention that devoted observation produces, who has been building a picture of you from the pieces they have had access to, and who has been organizing those pieces with the particular care of someone who is interested in accuracy rather than in convenience. The picture they have built may be more complete than the pictures people who are officially close to you carry, not because they have had access to more, because they have been paying a different quality of attention. And when they reach out, they will reach toward you with that picture, with the specific, particular, I have been paying attention quality of someone who sees things about you that not everyone sees, who notices what you produce when you are not producing for an audience, who has been tracking the authentic version rather than the presented one. That quality of being seen, coming from someone who has been watching from the outside, is one of the more unusual gifts one person can offer another. You are about to receive it. That quality of being seen, coming from someone who has been watching from the outside, is one of the more unusual gifts one person can offer another. You are about to receive it. I want to give one more specific dimension of what they know about you before we close. They know how you respond to things. Not just what you say or do, but the specific characteristic quality of how your responses are shaped, the particular pattern of what you notice first, what you find worth commenting on, and what you let pass, the specific quality of your humor when it appears, the particular thing your face does when something lands in a way that surprises you, the specific way you hold your attention when something is genuinely interesting to you versus when you are being politely attentive. These things are not available to casual observers. They are available to devoted ones, and the devoted quality of this person's observation has produced a picture of you that is built from precisely these kinds of details. That has the specific high resolution quality of someone who has been paying close enough attention long enough that the broad strokes have been filled in, and what they are now tracking is the fine detail. You are known by this person in a way that feels intimate, even though the official nature of the connection has not produced the intimacy that would normally produce this kind of knowing. That is the unusual gift. And it is arriving in your direction. Let me close with the image I have been holding throughout this reading. Someone in a particular position, not close. In the specific, slightly too far to reach naturally quality of someone who has maintained a distance that was the necessary condition for the secrecy of the observation, who has been at exactly the distance required to watch without being seen to watch. Watching with the devoted involuntary has risen to something significant quality I described, and then in this specific current moment, the decision, not a dramatic decision, the quiet, this has to happen quality of someone who has been in the watching position long enough that the watching position no longer feels like the right one, who has accumulated enough to want to bring it forward, who has reached the specific, finally enough quality of someone who is going to make the outside inside, who is going to reach out toward you with everything they have been quietly carrying. That reaching, Virgo, is already in motion. What you will receive when it arrives is not just a message. It is everything that was behind the watching. And behind the watching is more than you have been aware of, considerably more. And now it is coming to you directly in whatever form the first contact takes, which is closer than,